Hey, everybody, welcome to a special Sunday version of the Community Showcase right here on the Edge of Tech. Oh, man, I am pumped about today's stream. I've been talking to our guest for a couple months now, trying to find a great day to do this, and finally all the stars aligned, and I am super excited to have Stefan on here. I see he's chatting in the chat, which is great. I forgot to tell him right before the stream, hey, by the way, jump on the chat if you want to. But I'm not going to waste too much time because we really only have about an hour today. I can't go over because we have a lunch I got to get to, and you know, I got to do that. So we're going to get rocking and rolling. We got a ton of comments in the stream. I want to say hi in the beginning to everybody in the chat. I don't have time to go through everybody's name because we have a ton of people chatting, but hi. And you know, I'm real excited. I think you guys are gonna love our guest. I met him for the first time at Murph last year. He is one of the nicest guys that I've met, and I'm super excited to have him on, like I said, 6 times already. So I'm gonna bring him right in. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Stefan from CNC Kitchen. How you doing, Stefan?
Hey guys, hey Jim. I'm doing great actually. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome, man. Thanks for jumping on. So I have to ask you, am I saying it right with Stefan or is it Stefan?
Well, I think actually both are wrong. So in Germany, I would introduce myself as Stefan, which is kind of the German pronunciation. But when I do my videos and also in the podcast that I do together with Thomas Sanladerer, I usually say Stefan because I don't know, it's more like the English pronunciation of my name, but everything's fine.
Everything's fine. All right. Oh man. So we were talking a little bit before the stream, and man, it's a great day. You guys are you? I think you guys are warmer than us. Are you warmer than us right now?
It was almost feeling like spring today here in Germany, at least in southern Germany. We had coffee outside in the sun. We still had to wear a jacket, but it's nice. It's really nice.
Oh, that's awesome. We're going to hit 50 today, and for central Wisconsin, that is a huge thing for March 1st. I think that's going to be awesome. So yeah, I had a comment. I did a video about an hour ago just saying like, hey, by the way, jump on, we're going to be live. And someone said I was saying it wrong. I was drawing it out too far. So I thought I'd ask, you know, how you said it. But welcome. I know we've been talking for a little while about getting you on, and finally the days met, and I love it. So I know there's a chat, and I don't think you've been on a lot of the ones, a lot of streams like this, have you?
No, I have not. I once was on the European. I'm really bad with name. The one that Martin from 3D Printing Iceland organizes. I wasn't actually streaming for quite a while because usually it's quite a hassle setting everything up because I'm kind of into making everything look nice. And so I have to set up my studio and everything that I'm happy with the result. But probably I'll get back to it at some point.
Yeah, we miss your streams. Actually, early in the chat, people were here like 45 minutes early talking, and they said, I wonder if he's going to be cooking on his Prusa bed. So that is, if you guys have not watched the CNC Kitchen channel, some of the fun stuff that he does, I mean, besides all the amazing testing, and I want to get into that, you know, in a little while here, but some of the fun stuff he does is actually cooks food on the bed of a 3D printer. I think it was a Prusa the last time I saw it. And that was one of the coolest things. I when I first got into 3D printing, I saw one of those videos and I was like, well, that's awesome. I should have probably had something frying up behind me.
I think my camera went off again. Damn it.
That's okay. It's nicely frozen on a nice smile. So
yeah, just give me 1 second.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
There you go. Hey, he's back.
Let's go to the secondary camera. It doesn't look as nice, but I'm at least there.
That's okay.
So sorry, guys. Something's not working out with my streaming setup. Probably one of the reasons why I didn't stream for quite a while.
Nah, that's fine. But yeah, a good potato pancake warmer, someone said. So let's go through the basic questions because like a lot of us have questions, about you and your channel. So what got you into 3D printing and how long ago was that?
What got me into 3D printing? So I would say, I think it was almost like 7 years ago. Well, I'm a mechanical engineer by trade, and at some point I thought, wouldn't it be nice to learn some electronics? And I started purchasing an Arduino and stepper motors and stepper motor drivers. And then I thought, if you have that stuff and that's working out kind of nice, why not build a CNC router out of it? Then I built a CNC router, everything worked fine. And just at that point, 3D printers were becoming way more common. And at first I thought I'll just modify my existing CNC router to make it 3D print. As an afterthought, it was a good idea that I didn't do it. At that time, I was doing my master's, and I thought, okay, as a gift for yourself, why not buy yourself a 3D printer when you have finished your master's thesis? I purchased it. It was sitting kind of in my office. I finished my master thesis 1 month early because I thought, okay, I need to finish it because otherwise I am not able to, or I shouldn't unbox and build my 3D printer. And yeah, finished my master thesis. Got that Mendel 90 at that point. Really nice machine. Used it for quite a while until I then purchased the Prusa a couple of years later. So I'm already doing 3D printing for 5 years or something like that, which is not that much, but still kind of okay.
No, that's great. I mean, you got me beat. I'm just barely, I was December of 2019. So by a year and a couple months. So you got me by, by years. So I know we're going to have a lot of questions from the chat. And one of the cool things about StreamYard is that I can actually pop them up. And we talked about this a little bit before the show, so I'm going to get into it right away. Chris Travis says, you're going to be at Murph this year?
I booked my flight. I booked my hotel. I am planning to go to Murph. I'm really looking forward to being there. So yes, if everything goes to plan, I'll be there this time already one day earlier, enjoying Chicago for at least a day without too much stress. And then next day I'll take a car together with Tom to Murph. Really looking forward to.
Nice. That's really cool. So we'll be down. When am I coming down? I'll be up Friday night. I got to work, and I'm actually only about an hour and a half away from Chicago, about 4 hours away from Murph. So yeah, I look forward to seeing you there. I know I met you last year for the first time at Murph, when you were there with Tom and super nice guy. That's one thing. Like I was like nobody to nobody, when I went to Murph last year. I just started a YouTube channel that I didn't know a lot about, and I had like 400 subscribers, and I walked up to you, and you were like the nicest guy, and I just wanted to thank you for that because it's people like you and Chuck and Tom that made that people like us look up to, right? And when you meet somebody and you guys are awesome, that even makes it better. So I know a lot of people out there will be looking for you, whether that's good or bad. But remember, if you are there and you watch any of our videos, introduce yourself because we have no idea who you are. I learned that last year when I was like, "Hey, what's up?" And people are like, "Who are you, man?" So I forget you don't see us; we see you.
Yeah. No, I really enjoyed being at Murph because, well, at first I wasn't really comfortable going there because I usually am not really happy being in like a big crowd of people. But since I think almost everybody was feeling the same thing there, it was totally fine in the end. And I just enjoyed talking to people. And this is also one of the reasons why I basically didn't film anything, because I was just chatting to everyone. So really looking forward to it. It's always really, really nice. And this is one really special thing about you Americans. It's way easier to get into a conversation as here in Germany.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's a good. I mean, I think that's a good thing. We definitely like to talk, or a lot of us do. What's funny is that you said you're not a fan of a whole bunch of people, right? My wife is the same way. So she's kind of an introvert, right? And I am obviously the complete opposite of that. So I was running around Murph and I was trying to film in the crowd, and introducing myself, and it was a lot of fun, but it was super packed last year. And I don't know if you heard this year they have 3 buildings, so it's
Three
going to be
buildings. Okay.
it'll be spread out much bigger. And I heard the aisles are 8 foot wide, so we can actually walk through them.
Mhm.
So it'll be a lot of fun. I know. I mean, we had a couple more questions here. Liam says, let's see, I'll show you on the screen. Do you think when do you think non-planar printing will make it into slicers? Or if it will, right?
Yeah, I have discussed about that topic already quite a bit with Tom on our podcast.
Right.
So if anyone is interested more interested on that topic, maybe check that out as well. I currently see non-planar 3D printing as a really nice gimmick, which works for special parts, but for it being implemented in a proper slicer, I think there's still kind of a lot of development necessary, because otherwise the results are not going to be as probably most expect them to be, because currently it only works on really like the most upper surface on a part. So if you would print a 3D benchy, for example, non-planar 3D printing would non-planar 3D print the top of the chimney, but nothing else. So
Right.
it would be cool if that is something that would be implemented in Slicer, but there's still a lot of like development necessary, and a bit of development of an artificial intelligence that finds out where layers are, where non-planar 3D printing might be beneficial.
I think you're right. It's a
I
right
haven't tried it
now.
out.
Right now is a great what's the word? Like you said, gimmick. Right now, it's not quite there. So 3D Jimmy asks, what type of product work or do you do for work for your day job? If you can tell us, I don't know. I didn't ask you that before the stream, but maybe just general if you can't tell us.
I'm an aerospace research engineer, and I actually
Wow.
work on metal 3D printing as in my normal job.
Whoa.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
the really expensive machines, a lot of titanium 3D printing. Really, really interesting job. I enjoy it a lot. And this is also one of the reasons why I'm not yet doing YouTube full time, because I would really miss it.
Right.
I would miss the work. I would miss the machines that we have to really do our research on. And we're just almost, as your channel name, really at the edge of the technology in 3D printing where I'm working.
Nice way to work that in there. Now all we need you to say is your intro line, the famous one. I said I talked to my wife before the stream and I was like, I wonder if he'll just say it. And then she's like, wait, is he from Germany? I was like, yes. That's like it's hilarious. I just love that your videos, the way you start them is perfect. Um, completely off topic, but
I'm doing my best.
yeah. Andrew S asks, do you ever plan to design your own 3D printer? If yes, SLA or FDM?
I'm not a huge fan of SLA printing, so probably not SLA printing. I think there are way more talented guys in designing 3D printer than I am. I like to use 3D printers as a tool and try to optimize the process and to characterize the process that everyone can use those machines in a proper way. So I think I will not be designing one on my own. I'll probably stick to the process. But
check it out.
Well, I have something in my head, and maybe there's a project upcoming later this year where I actually design a 3D printer, which will be neither FDM or SLA.
Oh, all right.
Eee. So look.
Stroopwafel or no? No, that would be cool. Now, see, now we're all going to have to subscribe if you're not subscribed to CNC Kitchen, and hit that bell so when he puts that video out, we'll see it.
Definitely.
Matt, the questions are flying in. So we talked about your metal FD or your metal 3D printing at work, right?
Yeah.
That has got to be a trip. That's got to be, Matt, is it like sintering or what do you guys do?
It's, well, DMLS, direct metal laser sintering. So
Okay.
you have more or less a bed of titanium powder and
Right.
you melt it layer by layer with a laser, which
Nice.
is a really cool process. But if you want to apply it in aerospace, you have to dive really deep because you have to qualify it. You need to know everything about the machine, the process, because I think you also want to, well, at least feel kind of safe when you're sitting in an airplane.
Yes, especially a space shuttle. Yeah. So is that similar to? I'm not sure if you saw Adam Savage when he built the Iron Man suit.
Yep.
Is that similar build wise as what he did?
Yeah. I think he used Inconel, which is a high temperature super alloy.
Okay.
But I'm almost sure that he was using kind of the same machine that we also have in our shop. You can work with basically any material that is weldable, starting from aluminum, steel, super alloys like nickel-based Inconel, but you can even use it for jewelry manufacturing. So you can process gold, platinum, and all the cool stuff.
Yeah, I think Abraham says it right. I think they used titanium for his suit because they were shooting it, seeing if it was bulletproof, which was amazing, right? That's so cool. Well, so what else? What else is new? What do you got cooking? I know, obviously, we're not asking you to tell us what your next video is, but you just did a video on a really cool video, actually, on that expanding PLA, right? And you did some awesome testing, and that's kind of where I'm heading to the next thing. So I don't know if I can speak for everyone in the chat, but I absolutely love the testing you do. I love that you put so much time into making sure you print things in different ways and you test them with your custom machine, right? So in that last video, can you tell us a little bit about that foam? I don't know if you had it anywhere near you, but that stuff was awesome. That is so cool.
I have the whole wing. So the material is really cool, and I have seen it like half a year ago or something like that, and I got a roll of filament, but I never really got around playing with it. Now I regretted that I didn't start earlier because it is a really cool material.
Nice.
It's probably not suitable for any application, but just the possibility to vary the temperature and therefore vary the density of your material is something really cool. And as I think stated it in the title of that video, it's adding a new dimension to 3D printing.
Yeah, it literally is. Like, I think you showed a cutout, or maybe it was actual print, that the center was, more thin, like wafer-like, right? And it was more solid on the outside. And I just think, like you said, like wings, like you have right in front of you, or maybe it's something that it's delicate, but it needs more of a structure inside, but not quite like really a lot of infill or something. I mean, and they keep it light. Is that pretty light?
It is really light. So if you would print it out of normal PLA, it would weigh around 2 to 3 times as much as this one right now does. The thing what I was fearing at first was that it's really brittle after you printed it because it feels like a cookie, but it is still really ductile. Hopefully, I'm breaking the wing now, but with the texture and the properties of it's just a nice material, and it's just getting lighter, but it's still really usable. But the thing is, color fab, they didn't only put it into PLA, they also put it in TPU. And well, this is a little bit overexposed at the moment. Anyways,
that's okay.
nice.
There you go.
I think there you go. And so this is
wow.
TPU.
Holy moly.
And it is using the same technology. And it's adding, they are adding a blowing agent into the material. And as soon as you start printing at 200 degrees Celsius, it slowly starts foaming and is all foamed up at around 240, 250 degrees Celsius. This gives you the possibility to print in different shore hardnesses, because the more foam you have in your filament, the less hard it's going to be. So the softer it's going to be. And I think it also adds some like more dampening features. But where I could see that being used, for example, is a sole of a shoe, where you have different locations where you want to have a different sponginess of the shoe. I don't know.
Maybe a harder arch, you know, and then a softer on the front and back, or
and there are things that some printers are not able to handle really soft filament. So the initial TPU is still not the most flexible one, but using that temperature property leads to a softer material in the end that your normal 3D printer would be able to print. So that's also pretty cool. It's not the most cheap filament. I think it's $60 a kilogram, but I see lots of applications for it. And afterwards, even though it's 60 euros a kilogram, if you foam it up, it's basically just 20 euros for the same amount of material. You know what I mean? Because it's just a third of the density.
Right. That's cool. And I think, let's see, Chris Travis had it, you know, like, I think you said this in the video even. He's wondering how you can use this as a multi-material print for infill. I mean, the possibilities could be endless if you dialed it in and got it right.
Yeah. I have a really cool printer on its way, which I want to use, which is a multi-print head printer, which I want to use to make or to apply this material in a more multi-material way.
That'd be cool. We'll definitely be watching for that then.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. 3D Jimmy says he always enjoyed your videos, very educational, and loves the melt zone. So let's talk a little bit about that, if you don't mind. So if you guys in the chat don't know, Stefan and Thomas, if I don't say Stefan normally, if I try to say it the way you did,
that's totally fine.
So they do a great podcast. They actually put it out on YouTube as well. I believe it's actually its own channel called The Melt Zone.
Yep.
And it's phenomenal. The most recent one, very sad with Tom's parting with Amazon, I guess we'll call it. But if you haven't checked it out, do that, because the podcast is great. I have an earbud in. I do IT for a hospital group. So when I'm running around, that's what I listen to the podcast, and of course everybody else's videos, you know, during the day. But how is that? Is it a lot of fun to do, and you guys enjoy it?
It is work. It is still work, but it is a lot of fun to do, because this gives us the possibility to talk in more details about topics that just wouldn't fit into a video.
Right.
And it's not as much work as a video. So if I take a look at the amount of time I put into a video of mine, it's basically 40, 50 hours of work for one video.
Right.
And sometimes you have smaller things it would be nice to talk about. And the podcast gives us the opportunity to do basically that. And people seem to enjoy it. We try to release bi-weekly. We not always kind of really do it, because both of us have a really tight schedule. But otherwise, yeah, we really enjoy it. It is really nicely growing. And I hope that it will definitely, continue to be released in the future.
Yeah, that is one thing I don't think a lot of people realize. how long it takes and how much time is actually put into a video. When we tune in and your video's 15 minutes or 14 minutes long, you just said you do 14 or 40 or 50 hours in testing and printing and researching and all that stuff. And it's actually really hard to get everything you want to say into that 15 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever the video has to be, So it's really cool to listen to that podcast because you guys really do dive into more stuff, and it's kind of fun. It's kind of like a behind the scenes of both of your channels, but mix everything together.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah. Podcasts are basically for things that go on in the background, and it's otherwise we wouldn't be able to show these things.
Sure.
And it's just an opportunity to do it. Concerning videos, for me, just a rule of thumb, I use around 2 to 3 hours of work for each minute of video in the end. And I really envy people that just can stand in front of a camera and talk about a thing and can basically produce a video in a day, which is kind of hard for me since I still have a full-time job.
Sure.
But I'm looking for an editor to maybe delegate a bit of work.
That would be awesome. I think, see, I'm kind of in the middle. I don't mind standing in front of the camera and spewing for a little while about what I'm doing. But the problem is for me, I have to actually, like, if I don't write stuff down or have like an outline, everybody in the chat knows that watches me. I'll go way off topic, and next thing you know, I'm like editing out all the crap I just said because it didn't mean anything to the video. So if I don't actually hone it in, I kind of go crazy, and I envy that with you. And that's something we watch your videos, and you're very like someone said, informational, and you're very structural about how you give us that information. And someday I'll get there. I just that's a lot of time.
For me, just not being a native English speaker, it's sometimes kind of hard to just stand in front of a camera and start talking. And I'm kind of a perfectionist in the end, so I want to say everything that I planned out, and this is hard without a script for me.
Right.
So I started that way. People seem to enjoy it, and I don't know, it's probably going to stay the same.
No, do it. You're doing it's awesome. We love your stuff. I think I need to go that way more. If I had a script, I'd probably be better. Man, I love it. 3D Jimmy says, Stefan, your English is very good, and I agree. You do a very good job at that. That's one of the fun things also about the podcast, because sometimes you'll be like, how do I say that in English? And it's fun to see that, because most of us just see you speak English. Once in a while, you have that moment where you're like, how do I say that?
It's really strange, to be honest, because, well, we're two Germans, and our native language is German. And right when we start with the video call, which is probably 15 minutes before the recording of the podcast starts, we already start in English, because otherwise it's a good way to just get into the flow. But right when the kind of the podcast recording ends, we switch to German again. I usually find it kind of hard to talk to other Germans in English, just because it's sometimes hard to express everything. But since Tom is basically perfect in English, and I think I'm also not the worst, it works out quite well. Sometimes we have to search for words. Sometimes maybe not. My grammar is not the best. Maybe I'm stuttering from time to time, but I don't know.
3D Jimmy says you speak English better than most folks over here. So that is a true story. And then someone said, Abraham said, I should learn some German. How about what do we got? We're 31 minutes in. We're 30 minutes in. Can you teach us a word in German?
Well, if you're watching my videos, Guten Tag is just a perfectly good introduction. Wie geht es dir? It's like, how are you doing? Wie geht es dir?
Oh boy.
Can you repeat that?
does,
Wie geht es dir?
does that start with like a V, like is it Victor sound, or a B is in boy?
It's a W-I-E in German.
Okay.
Like why?
Okay. V,
Or yeah. Wie geht
get,
es
S,
dir?
deal. So
Dir? With a
like,
R in the end.
oh
Wie geht
yeah.
es dir?
This tongue doesn't do that part. I can't even roll my tongue. Like my wife can do that really well. I can't like some of the Spanish and stuff like that too. You get to the rolling of the tongue or making the R or something, whatever noise, I'm out. Nope. But I appreciate that. I know someone's typing here.
Wie geht es Ihnen? Yeah, that's the polite way of saying it. So in German, we distinguish between talking politely to somebody or just casually to somebody.
Okay.
It's the same thing in French. English doesn't have that distinguishment.
Right.
Just
Yeah,
whatever.
We're just all rude.
Yeah. But it's way easier because in German it's always the problem. If you are talking to somebody you don't know yet, you don't know if you should talk like politely to him or casually. And this can sometimes lead to really weird situations. So I enjoy the English way more.
Joe says, here, I'll throw it up. Lots of people here know at least one word without realizing it. Gesundheit.
Gesundheit.
When someone says when people sneezes, that's true. I didn't combine that with German. So there you go. I said a German word.
Kindergarten. It's also
go.
German.
So there's actually a few people actually typing in German now in the chat. It's really cool. So you're coming over. We're gonna circle back a little bit. So you're coming over. You're gonna hang out and then go to Murph.
Yep.
Anything you're looking forward to while you're there? I know you were here once, so it's not your first time like me. But if you besides meeting the people, because we already talked a little bit about that, because that's the super fun part. What else are you looking forward to?
Food.
Food.
I always enjoy food. So one of the reasons why I come earlier to Chicago is for once to see the city, but also to have Chicago style hot dog.
Nice.
I also said that I want to have Chicago style deep dish pizza because I really enjoyed that when I worked in Michigan. But people told me that only tourists eat Chicago style deep dish pizza in Chicago. So maybe something else, but just burgers and the food in general is really nice. Really, really nice.
I think if you're in Chicago and you just find a small mom and pop pizza shop and just order a pizza, I think you'll get what the we'll say the locals get without calling it deep, Chicago style. And I think there is that stigma. It's funny. It's like Wisconsin's known for brats and beer. That's pretty much it. And Chris Travis just said it. And so, I don't think anyone here has any problem drinking brats and beer, whether you're a tourist or not.
Brats are sausages.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So it's
Bratwurst. That's also German. Brats.
Yep.
Etwas braten means to cook something. So Bratwürste are cooked sausages or fried sausages. Another German word you didn't know that you used.
Well, we actually have a pretty big German community out here, and there's a really big German fest too. So it's fun.
Oktoberfest.
There is an Oktoberfest as well, yes. But we're in Wisconsin. Let's not get wrong. Every day is Oktoberfest here in Wisconsin. Oh man!
Funny thing, I live 1.5 hours away from Munich. I haven't been to the Oktoberfest once in my lifetime.
Oh wow! Are you?
Shame on me.
Let's see. Are you much of a beer drinker? A drinker?
I enjoy a beer, but I'm not a good drinker. I always feel bad the next day, so I usually avoid drinking something.
No, that's a smart drinker.
I'm a smart drinker.
There you go.
A connoisseur of beers. I really enjoyed the craft beers in Michigan. The how was it called? Oberon Brewery thingy.
Nice. we're getting blown up over here. So there's now the chat officially went from 3D printing to food and beer. We totally it's awesome.
Well, my channel is called CNC Kitchen, so
there you go.
there's
So
half of it should be kitchen actually.
I was just gonna say, let's talk about that. We got time. So what how do I say this? What thought came to your mind to be like, you know what? I'm gonna cook on the bed of that printer. What made you think of that?
Well, the initial idea behind the channel when I started it, and also when I chose the name, was that I do like CNC stuff, and 3D printing is also CNC, computer numerical control thingy, and cooking. I quickly noticed that I don't have enough time to do both, so I stuck with 3D printing and stuff like that. But just as a gimmick, I usually do my sous vide cooking on the Prusa, because sous vide cooking is just something I enjoy in general, because I like to cook at home. I like to cook sometimes in maybe not the most normal way.
Okay.
So cooking on a 3D printer is something that you haven't seen before, I guess.
Right.
And I thought it's kind of nice, and people seem to enjoy it. I'm just afraid that I get lots of thumbs down by the vegetarians and vegans when I fry the steak in the end. But so far, nobody was really that rude to me.
Yeah, well, we'll just say yeah. I won't comment any further on that. No, I think it's awesome. I think you did a live stream. I'm trying to remember which one it was. I think it was maybe the X1 or what. I think you did a live stream on that, and you had a steak or cooking in the background, and you were checking on it, and we were like, yes, this is this is amazing.
Well, the thing is, when I did my first live stream, the Prusa was a great machine to do sous vide cooking, but they added lots of safety checks in the firmware over the last couple of months and years that it will shut down after a couple of minutes, or if measurements like the temperature of the bed is not perfectly plausible. So with the new Prusas, it's not as easy anymore to cook a steak on it.
Well, good thing I have a whole bunch of Crealities here that don't care about. No, anyway.
Yeah. they might set your garage on fire, but that can also be used to fry your steak.
Right. I can officially say that all of them have thermal runaway on, so that's a good thing. But yeah, you could cook a steak at any temp. No. So Joe asks, let's see here. Back here, he said, do you have a favorite brand of filament that's easily available in the EU for all of our EU friends out there?
Many don't know that, but lots of European filament brands are actually coming from the same company. And they they're a white label manufacturer, and you can say, okay, I want to have my CNC Kitchen filament, and they'll sell you the rolls, and everything's coming from.
It's pretty much like shoes and everything else, right? I mean, a lot of them are in the same manufacturers, they're just different brands.
So I work with lots of Form Futura filaments. I really enjoy them. There is also a filament manufacturer just like half an hour away from where I live.
Okay.
That's Extruder. They also make really cool and not the most common materials. And in the end, I would just say, maybe also for the environment, search something that is probably close to you, that it doesn't need to be transported all the way from China or something like that. Also, Das Filament, really enjoy using their filaments. We have come to the point where most filaments are usable, and not that many stand off anymore. So that is a good thing, but it also makes it hard for me to really say, okay, this is my favorite filament, because I'm not usually looking for specific fancy colors or something like that.
Sure. And I think we see that with a lot of filaments. Like so PLA, there's some really good PLAs, right? Just like any other thing. But but I think you can get the $10 Amazon PLA, and your printer will probably print it just fine.
Yep.
It may not be the best print you ever seen, but you can print with it, and that's one of the cool things. Like you said, we're kind of to the point where, you know, you're printing with filament, and filament, you know, kind of is filament.
Yeah.
Probably, like I have Coex 3D that's about 45 minutes north of me here, and I really like their stuff. To me, it prints like butter. It goes down great. But you know, some other people have said I don't like it because you print it a little hotter than normal, and that's fine. And if I remember, I'll bring you a roll at Murph. Someone else said I should bring down some spotted cow for you. I'm trying to remember. Let's see. Shane said that.
What's spotted cow?
It's a beer, but you
Okay.
can only get it in Wisconsin.
Okay. Cool.
So yeah, maybe I'll. If the law enforcement's listening, I didn't bring it down at all. But no, maybe.
Because you aren't allowed to have beer in your car, or
No, we're not allowed to cross state lines with it. So,
okay.
but millions
But
of
you can
people
have your
today.
shotgun probably on your lap or something like that.
Yeah, maybe. Nah.
Welcome to the US.
Right. Yeah. So I'll probably bring down. I'll give you some of that. Like at least a bottle, so you can try one while you're here, because that's probably a little trickier to travel back home with. But let's see. Oh no. Also, back to the food comments. Blasto Supreme said, "Ana." Oh, here, I'll put it up. He said, "Those good old Anet charbroiled burgers."
I'm wondering if ANET will also be at Murph again this year. Was it ANET? Yeah, I think it was ANET last year.
ANET was there last year. I should reach out to Al. I know Al was manning that booth.
Okay.
I don't know if he's going to be there, and I don't know if they're going to be there. Maybe I'll ask them, because
the funny thing was that somebody bought them a fire extinguisher, and
that was Tim over at TH3D. Yeah, that was pretty funny. We'll say it was funny. So there's actually a video floating around. I don't know if he ever posted it, but he's like, "Hey, film this. Follow me and film this." So I followed him, and it's him handing it to them, and I was like, "Oh no!" he's throwing it under the, they're throwing it under the desk real quick so nobody sees it. But
I think it's totally legit. They're still selling the A8 without thermal runaway protection, and
they are. But they released their source code finally. Big thanks to a couple people out there. Well, most of it, we'll say, not all of it. But you're right, though. I think it needs to become more mainstream to have that thermal runaway on. Otherwise, it's not it's not safe. Someone asked. Well, we have Elon Musk is in the chat. He not really, but that's awesome. What's the secret product for his hair? I don't know if we need to know that or not, but it's awesome.
Well, it needs to stay a secret.
There you go. It's a secret product you can't know. That's too good.
It's magical.
I love it. Jesse says he's struggling with PETG. He's struggling with PETG not stringing so crazy. So I'm assuming you're having a bunch of stringing. Any tips for that?
Dry your filament. It's that simple.
Temperature and retraction, or just dry it?
Dry your filament and you'll be 90% there.
90% there. Nice. 3D Jimmy also says, are you in East or West Germany? If you want to divulge that, if you don't, that's okay too.
Well, there isn't any more East and West Germany. That was well. Anyways, yeah. Let's put it this way. I was born in West Germany, but I live in Southern Germany in West Germany, if you know what that means.
Got it. I'm taking it he meant the east side or the west side, but who knows? like we have Central Wisconsin, East Wisconsin, West Wisconsin,
Yeah.
Someone else said that ABS slurry is in your hair. I don't know about that. Too funny. Now we've gone way off the track. I love it. Have you ever tried the nanopolymer adhesive? Tyler West asked.
Yes, I have. I think that's from Vision Miner.
Yep.
And it's working really great. And it's especially working really great with high temperature polymers. We're currently using it for printing PPS and nylon, which sometimes really doesn't stick to anything. But the nanopolymer adhesive works really great. The only problem is that I can't get it here in Germany. So I have a little bit left when, how is his name? I can't remember his, but Rob, when he passed me some last year at Murph, but that's also almost already gone.
Well, if I remember, I have a full bag right over here, so I'll bring it down with me.
I'll probably shoot an email to Rob and ask him for like a big bottle of it.
Yes, and if he needs to, he can include me. He can ship it to me, and I can bring it to you if he's not going to be at Murph.
He's everywhere all the time.
Yeah, I'm hoping he's going to be there. We talked about it already. So he was actually on the show recently, and we were trying to find out if he's going to be there.
Yeah, I watched that.
Nice. Surprised you. I'm going to say thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that. Let's see. Actually, a serious question. Here you go. What's your opinion on Fusion 360 FEA capabilities? Is it useful for some serious stress analysis? Sorry, or should yeah.
I have been using lots of ANSYS in the past and also lots of Fusion 360. In my opinion, Fusion 360 is only really usable for basic stuff. As soon as it's getting more complex, stick to ANSYS. I'm sorry, but basic stuff is possible there. But for me, well, I'm a structural engineer by trade. ANSYS is just like orders of magnitude more capable.
Definitely more. So if we weren't a structural engineer, we had access to Fusion 360. It's not a bad choice.
It is not a bad choice.
Okay.
But the problem with all FEA software is that you need to know what you're doing, because even though it produces pretty pictures, in the end, it can be total bullshit. So always think about what you're doing, because pretty pictures don't mean that you're right. If your assumptions are bad, also the result's going to be horrible.
Oh, that makes sense. Well, that's why we tune into your channel to see the actual testing. See?
Yep.
How did you come up with that machine? I mean, obviously your engineering background, right? But did you like, hey, I do this at work, or did you just say, hey, I'm going to do this one day?
Well, it was 4 years ago when I got more into 3D printing. And well, as I said, I'm a structural engineer by trade. I have been doing that at work every day. Right. And I also wanted to analyze my 3D printed parts and kind of size them to know if they are suitable for a specific application. And at that point, there wasn't lots of information around. So, well, there are professional machines that look basically the same as this one. I don't have like proper metalworking tools to build one out of metal. Sure. So I purchased a bit of wood and some electronics and put it together, and it has been working fine ever since.
Nice. Well, we definitely love watching it, and it makes a really cool sound when it's trying to pull stuff apart.
Yeah, it's a horrible sound.
Probably because you hear it all the time.
Oh yeah.
I actually enjoy the clips where you leave the audio in it when we watch it break, because for me, I'm a visual learner, and it's cool to actually hear the. You probably hear that in your nightmares, though.
Yeah. If you're doing like 50 or 100 of samples in a day, it's just so annoying.
Oh man, I love it.
And that's actually the only time when I do record the test that I turn off music in my office because I can't have the music in the clip.
Right.
And besides those testing clips, there is basically no part of a video in my videos which has audio, because I usually always listen to music.
Right. Well, and that's one thing I always liked. What's funny is you actually called me out at Murph last year. I was like, hey, I watched your last video. I don't remember seeing you in it. And you said, well, you didn't stay till the end because I was in it at the end. I was like, oh, you were in it at the end. That's right.
Yeah.
But it's fun because when you do a video, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing today. Let's do it. And you get right into to talking about whether it's the material you're using or what testing you're doing or what steak you're cooking, whatever it is, right? And it's really cool that you do that. I need to look at maybe doing some more dub over stuff because it probably would sound better because I do it like 700 takes, like oh, that was a bad one.
Get a teleprompter. Get a teleprompter and have your either talking points on there or at least in part a script. It really helps. It really helps to get better videos out in the end and more and you can be sure that you said everything that you wanted to say. Some people are just naturally born to stay in front of, or to stand in front of a camera and precisely talk about everything they have in mind. But I think for 98% of the population, that is not a thing. And for those, sometimes doing scripts and doing scripted videos and even sometimes working more with B-roll and just recording your audio with a mic is producing the better content.
You are 100% right there. See you later, WFO Rider. He said he's got to go make breakfast for the family.
Dinner's ready here. Enjoy your breakfast.
Yeah. What time is it out there?
It's 7 p.m.
7 p.m. Also, it's not bad out there.
It's not bad.
Nice. Yes, Chris Travis Thomas did do a video about a teleprompter. I watched that a couple times. I think he actually printed a new one, and I really like that. That I just need to. Here's my thing. If I do a teleprompter, that means I have to write the script, right? And that's the part I'm bad at. It's fun.
Well, you have to start at some point. It's the first videos and everything are always going to be bad, but you grow with that experience. So just give it a try. If you never started, you will never succeed.
I'm gonna try it. In the next one, I'm gonna be like, so Stefan told me to get a teleprompter, so I'm reading. No, I'm just joking. Nice. It does add a layer of pre-work. Mike said it just adds a layer of pre-work. That is true, and I think to have a great video, just like a great print, right? You got to have those great first layers, and so I might have to look into being better at that. But I know we only have about 5 minutes left. So if anyone else has any quick questions you want to ask, go ahead. Do you have any questions for the crowd you want to ask, or for me or anybody? I know we've talked about like everything today, so
I'm really bad prepared for that stream.
Oh, that's okay.
I gotta be honest. The camera wasn't working.
My wife is inside getting ready to go to lunch. We have a lunch with her aunt right after the stream, actually. Yeah, I think I appreciate everybody jumping on. We have just about 100 people watching right now, which is awesome. I really appreciate that. Tyler West says, way to put the guy on the spot. I love it. But yeah, I mean, we definitely are looking forward to hopefully seeing you at Murph. Someone else made a comment, what if they shut Murph down because of the coronavirus? I hope that doesn't happen. And I hope that everybody who's traveling can get here because of it, and everybody has a safe travels. And I hope that you get your pizza and your beer and your Chicago style hot dog.
Oh yeah.
I love it. So let's see real quick. I'm reading through the last couple questions. What should be the next upgrade after the Ender 5 Pro? I'm not sure what you've already done, so I'm not sure what the next upgrade should be.
You mean the next printer?
Oh, the next printer, the Ender 5 Plus. No.
Call me a Prusa fanboy, but
There you go.
I have 2 Prusas and they're running 24/7 and so reliable. I just, can advise everyone who doesn't want to buy a project 3D printer where the 3D printer is the project, but he needs a tool. Buy a Prusa. They do work great.
We actually have I don't have one only because of the cost and because I have too much printers for not enough room. So, but Pooch from Repcord has a great question. He says, a question for Stefan: where do you see desktop manufacturing going in the next 5 years? What technologies do you think have the most potential, and which are you most excited about?
Well, desktop. I think desktop 3D printing needs to be even more reliable as it is at the moment. It needs to be more accessible, and this is something that where companies and also the communities is really working on, because even though it's now simple to get a 3D printer and also to do your first prints, to get reliable results out of it and to use it as a tool, you still need to have a lot of knowledge. I hope that we see home 3D printing or desktop 3D printing more in the market, that we're really able to manufacture spare parts of different products,
Sure.
to do customization of different products. And this is already starting. But it's really hard to predict where desktop 3D printing is going to be. SLA is currently really hyped.
Yep.
I'm not the biggest fan of it, just because it is, in my opinion, a bit more dangerous than FDM 3D printing, because the resins are nasty. Disposing the IPA and the washing solution is something nobody really likes to talk about. For this reason, this is just the reason why I still think FDM 3D printing is something that is more interesting for me. But on the other hand, SLA 3D printing could enable us to use 3D printing more in a more precise and reliable manner. Sure. If the reworking process gets simpler and maybe also resins come onto the market that are easier and safer to work with. And we'll see. Maybe there's going to be a new technology for all of us. I don't know.
Sure. I think you nailed that on the head. And I had a really funny comment. Mike from Never Let the Machines Win said that Pooch stole his question. So, no. But we are there. We are at the end of the time. I really appreciate you coming on. I can't thank you enough for the time you've taken for the last hour to chat with me and everybody in the stream. I really appreciate everybody in the stream. But before we go, where can we find you? Tell us everywhere we can find you.
Well, you can find me on YouTube, CNC Kitchen. You can find my and Tom's podcast on the Melt Zone podcast on YouTube or in your favorite podcast player, iTunes, Spotify, and wherever. You can find me on Twitter, and you can find me on Instagram. Nice. And you can hopefully find me at Murph.
Nice. Well, I found you on Facebook too.
Oh, yes. and you can find me on Facebook. And I finally have a website. Nice. Thanks to Squarespace.
There you go, Squarespace.
CNCKitchen.com. Check it out. There are always write-ups of the analysis I do, and you can take a second look at the graphs and everything that might be interesting to you.
Nice. Well, thanks again. Thank you again, everybody. Just so you all know, I know there's still a bunch of people watching. We are on tomorrow at our normal time, and tomorrow night's guest will actually be David Hewlett. If you've seen Stargate or in a range of shows or movies, he's been on them, and he is a big techie. So we're going to chat with him tomorrow night as well. So stay tuned at 6 p.m. Central like normal. But again, this is a special Sunday with Stefan here from CNC Kitchen, if I could talk. Thank you again, everybody. I really appreciate your time. Stefan, hang out for 1 minute, and I'll be right back with you.
But thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, anytime you want to come on, we can just do a full cooking show if you want.
I thought about that, but I don't know how my subscribers would react to that.
Well,
Maybe barbecue in the summer outside.
There you go. We could do a thing where you like walk me through cooking, and I'll have a printer on too.
Yeah.
And then if my subscribers don't like it, then yours don't get hurt.
Perfect.
No. You guys have a good one. I'll be right back with you, Stefan. Have a great day, everybody. Keep printing.
Auf Wiedersehen.